All right, so special right triangles are right triangles that have the same proportions throughout, no matter what size they are. Okay, so the two special ones, the ones that are the easiest to memorize, are the 45, 45, 90 and the 30, 60, 90. So here you'll see examples of the 45, 45, 90 on top. So let's look at that one first. First thing that you need to recognize is that you have two 45-degree angles. And since we know about angle-side relationships, that means that the sides across from those angles, like these, have to be equal. So in a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the two legs of the triangle versus the hypotenuse, the two legs are equal. Then, if you'll notice, the hypotenuse across from the 90-degree angle, the hypotenuse is always the leg times the square root of 2. So if your leg is 6, the hypotenuse is 6 square root 2. If your leg is 4, the hypotenuse is 4 square root 2. So this one's pretty simple. So now let's look at the 30, 60, 90 triangle. The rules on this one all revolve around the short leg. So we have a short leg, a long leg, and the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always, again, the one that is across from the 90-degree angle. Now, like I said, everything revolves around the short leg, so you're always going to have to find the short leg. The hypotenuse is the short leg times 2. So here you can see that your hypotenuse is 2. Your short leg is 2. That means that your hypotenuse has to be 4. So your hypotenuse is your short leg times 2. Your long leg is always your short leg times the square root of 3. So if your short leg is 2, that means that the long leg is 2 square root 3. Now these rules hold up no matter what the measurements are. So let's look at a couple of examples of problems you might see. So the first problem, we have what we see as a 30, 60, 90 triangle. We know the hypotenuse is the y. We know that the short leg is the x, and we know the long leg is 3 square root 3. So we're going to use the 3 square root 3 to figure out the short leg first. Well, we know that the short leg times square root of 3 gives us the long leg. So the long leg divided by the square root of 3 will give us the short leg. So I got to take my long leg, which is 3 square root 3, and divide it by square root of 3. You'll see what's going to happen here. Your two square roots of 3 cancel out because square root of 3 divided by square root of 3 is 1. So that means that your short leg is 3. All right, now to find the hypotenuse, we simply multiply the short leg times 2. 3 times 2 gives me 6. So my hypotenuse is 6. Moving down to the next one, we know that to get from the leg length to the hypotenuse in a 45, 45, 90 triangle, we have to multiply times the square root of 2. So if we're given the hypotenuse and have to go backwards to the leg, we're going to divide by the square root of 2. So 7 square root of 2 divided by the square root of 2. Square roots of 2 cancel out. X equals 7. Now, what kind of shortcut on this is that if you have 7 square root 2 or anything square root 2, the number in front of the square root 2 is always the leg. All right, and finally we have another 30, 60, 90 triangle. This time I'm given the hypotenuse. I know it's across from the 90-degree angle. I can find the short leg by dividing by 2. That means that x equals 11. Then I go from the short leg to the long leg by multiplying the short leg times square root of 3. So y is 11 square root 3. Now sometimes they're not so simple. All of those were very straightforward, but sometimes you're going to get ones where you're going to have to divide by a square root or by a radical. So that's the ones we're going to be looking at now, and I'm going to show you the rules that you have to follow in order to get a correct answer. So if you look at the first one, you'll see that we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle, and we know that the long leg is 6. Now, in order to go backwards to the short leg, we have to divide by the square root of 3. Because we know that the long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3, so if we're going backwards, we divide. So it's 6 divided by the square root of 3. But there's a problem. The problem is that you cannot have a radical on the bottom of a fraction. It's a no-no. So in order to fix this, we're going to get rid of that radical on the bottom by multiplying the top and the bottom times the square root of 3. That allows us to get rid of what's on the bottom because the square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3, and 6 times square root of 3 is 6 square root 3. So I haven't changed the fraction, I have just rewritten it. I've multiplied the top and the bottom times the same thing. Now I've got to simplify this by dividing the numbers outside of the square root or simplifying them. 6 over 3 is the same as 2 over 1, so I get that x is 2 square root 3. So I'll write that over here. Now I need to find my hypotenuse. In order to find that, I have to multiply my short leg times 2. So I have to do 2 square root 3 times 2. You multiply the outside numbers only, and you get 4 square root 3 for y. All right, so let's look at another one. This is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. We know that the hypotenuse is 22. We have to figure out the two legs. We know that we have to divide by the square root of 2 if we're going backwards from the hypotenuse to the legs. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom times the square root of 2, and that gives me 22 square root of 2 over 2. I can divide these two numbers, and I get 11 square root 2. That is my side length. And one more. The hypotenuse on this one, 30, 60, 90 triangle, is 6 square root 2. So if we're going to go backwards to the short leg, we have to divide by 2. So 6 square root of 2 divided by 2, we divide these, so you get 3 square root 2. So that part was easy. Now we have to multiply times the square root of 3 in order to go up to the long leg. So we do 3 square root 2 times the square root of 3. You multiply the two square roots to give you 3 square root 6. We can't simplify the square root of the 6, so your answer is 3 square root 6. And that's it.